Welcome to Confirmation Bias, presented by the League Ambassadors.
I'm Ambassador Kenny Ken, and I have a public service announcement. When it comes to the Mayweather-McGregor fight, don't believe the hype because it will not match the fight. That's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Junior Blue, and I don't know if Mayweather or McGregor is marketing SummerSlam for the WWE or an actual fight, and that's my confirmation bias.
I'm Ambassador Dad, and I am nobody's boy or dancing monkey, and that's my confirmation bias.
This fight is a sham, a travesty, and a farce all rolled up in one. I tell you the truth. Freddie Roach, if he double up on his medication, he got a shot at beating McGregor in a boxing match. That's my confirmation bias.
And I'm Ambassador Chef Curry. Now, when Ambassador Red O misses the show, I'm just joking, Omar. Good to have you back. Look, here at the League Ambassadors, we support grown men who cry during tennis matches. We support grown men who frolic at the nightclub. But one thing we do not support under any circumstance is when one grown man calls another grown man boy. And that's my confirmation bias.
Church.
Welcome to Confirmation Bias, hosted by the League Ambassadors. This is episode 35. Wow.
Preach.
As a reminder, please check us out on social media. That's Snapchat, that's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at our handle at the League AM. You can also check us out on our website where we have all of our content, our shows, our written write-ups, as well as our blog, Spot Diplomatic Community, at theleagueam.com. Diplomatic Community is where you can submit writings as it pertains to the world of sports. Speak your mind. For all of those people who are watching on Facebook Live right now, please remember to share, but also to please submit any questions or comments so we can attempt to answer them at the end of our show during Diplomatic Community segment. And please do download Confirmation Bias, subscribe to it wherever you watch podcasts or listen to vodcasts, whether that's Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes. And please also check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel under League Ambassadors. So without further ado, we're going to pass it over to my brother from another mother, literally. Ambassador Kev, take it away.
That's confusing.
All right, guys, we're going to get into our hot topic for tonight's show, which is, of course, the main event of the Barnum and Bailey circus, the super fight between Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, which is set to take place on August 26th. Hey, we're going to get into it. Now, look, we all got to mention the 4-day press tour last week to promote the fight and the antics that came with it. But I'm going to ask you guys, what do you make of the promotion and the marketing strategy going into the fight? Look, there's no doubt this is a circus, of course, but is it convincing you at all to tune in? And do you think, on the grand scheme of things, that it's working for the general public?
I think it is working. McGregor today, the odds went all the way down 4-1 now. He's a 4-1 underdog, and I think
Where to start?
I think 10-1.
10-1.
Start at 10-1. It's down to 4-1. I think Vegas is got to be happy about that. In the event that if some miracle happens, that Vegas would be broke.
For real.
So it going down to 4-1, I think, from that standpoint, definitely. Personally, and I think I speak for all of us when I say it don't mean shit
At all. to any real boxing fan or anybody who likes the sport of boxing at all, it means nothing to them. It's an event. People are going to watch it because it's a party. Like I said in my confirmation bias, it's WWE. Like, McMahon should come up and show out because that's exactly what it is.
I
It's
do
gonna be
kind
a
of
show.
feel like McGregor is doing his best Rock impersonation. Like every time he's up there on stage, but he is a shit talker extreme.
Hey,
He's good at it.
And Floyd is losing that battle. That's one that he's losing.
Yeah, well,
I mean, we've never seen him in that position where he's had someone that is as ignorant as he is
and who's louder.
and louder, right? But I think it's definitely a farce. MMA people or fans actually think that Conor does have a chance. Boxing purists think the other way. So you got people coming together to kind of, hold their own spot down. Like, oh, this is my section boxing. This is my section MMA.
Regardless, they've done a great job promoting it.
Yeah.
I can't take that away.
Does McGregor think he can win?
Fuck no.
I think he does.
Really?
I think the confidence is not a put on. I think that,
Sir.
yeah, I think the confidence is legit.
Confidence of what?
That he can win. That's what his question was. Does
Confidence
he
that
think?
his suit was tailored correctly?
No.
Like, he does not have confidence that in those moments in the dark when you alone and it's nobody but you in that mirror, he knows he can't win this fight.
Omar speaking like he's been there.
I can't do it, B. I can't do it.
Good shell, go get your boy.
But if you look at it, though, what each guy has on the line, in my eyes, I don't think McGregor has anything to lose. I mean, Floyd's the one whose career, his perfect record is on the line. He's the boxer. He's the one that he loses his fight. Things could go south for him. McGregor, if he goes the full fight, if he lasts the full fight, doesn't get knocked out, it's still a win for him in my eyes.
He's expecting to make 20 times more than he's ever made before.
Thank you. That's the win. It doesn't matter if he gets knocked out in the first round. His MMA record has not changed because this is a boxing match.
Right.
And so McGregor wins. Floyd wins because of that paycheck. His is way more than McGregor's.
Right.
Like, so this is a exhibition as like Rocky IV. It's all this is. It's all
Definitely
this
an
is.
exhibition. But I think people are going to tune in because people who hate Floyd, Joe, will want to see him lose. And people who hate Conor because they don't like how arrogant he is on that side, they will want to see him lose.
And that's where the promotion has been great. But they have revved up these MMA fans who just think that an MMA fighter can beat the best boxer of our generation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And I think from a marketing aspect, put the competitive aspect of the fight aside. From a marketing aspect, you're basically joining two worlds into one night and getting guys who have never watched boxing, never watched MMA, to feel like they have a dog in this fight. And the way that they're promoting the fight, 4 different cities from LA to Toronto to New York to London, they're definitely getting people on board and drumming up the hype for people who aren't necessarily legit fans of the sport.
For that 99.99.
Yeah, from a marketing standpoint, it is definitely the perfect storm. When you hear reports of Conor McGregor getting knocked out in sparring, though, it puts a big dent.
Reports that aren't really getting reported on that much. You know what I mean? You
I
have
couldn't
to go
find
search
too
for
much
that.
on that, but yes, I saw
Jesse
that.
Jesse Vargas said it. He
Well,
called out the boxer.
Right, but but that same boxer also didn't corroborate that. But
that's culture. You're not going to corroborate that because you want to get the work. So you're not going to get the corroboration from the.
Because truthfully, if you're a boxing fan, you should be mad at Floyd because a real boxing match comes a month from then that will probably not get as many buys because of this bull that he's putting on.
There's a boxing match that same night that's not going to get any buys, and you can watch that for free.
super free.
Well, another element of this fight that I think is important that we'll cover, mainly because any of our viewers know that we aren't afraid to address social issues.
You sure?
And how, and absolutely, and especially how they intertwine with sports. So specifically with this fight, do you guys believe that there's a legitimate racial undertone that's been going on? And based on the comments that both fighters have made, and then also maybe more importantly, how the public is viewing or rooting for certain fighters in this fight.
Well, I'll say this. You heard what my confirmation bias is. I mean, he did call him a boy. He did say, refer to dancing monkeys. And those are definitely some hurtful things from this country. Now, I'm not going to excuse him for not being here, but you should, like I think Ken said, you should do your homework. But I can say this. Boxing is one of the most racist sports that I've ever watched. And and taken a part of. Like if you go to any boxing blog or if you go to any YouTube video and read the comments, it is super racist for whatever side. And so this definitely plays a big part of that. People don't like Floyd.
I truly believe that this was part of the meeting. This is part of what they wanted to do. I don't think McGregor is racist. I think they wanted him to do that. I think everything that's happened has been calculated, and it's all
agree with that.
bull.
Oh yeah.
He knew what he was saying, and Floyd knew what he was gonna say. This whole thing has been calculated.
So what you're saying then is that it's not a racist person, it's just a racist system, which when you think about racism, the perfect place to start is always to look at the system, to look at the establishment. Because I agree with what you said, Devin, that if you look at the history of boxing, it has always had racial undertones. And that's because primarily poor minorities, a.k.a. brothers, blacks, black Americans, lead the charge in the sport. And they are often controlled and dominated by white figures. And whenever there is a white hero that emerges from a boxing standpoint, they oftentimes are A, overrated,
Tommy Morrison.
B, are looked at as this sort of savior.
And they
or
have
hope.
a nickname. They call him the Great White Hope.
So, and then, but to your point, Omar, which again I agree with, and so it speaks to the system, there's no doubt that every element is going to be, nationalism is played up. You look at him wrapping himself in the flag, and that's been a part of boxing forever.
Yeah.
Racism, definitely. All of these elements, there, everything is fair game. And so does it mean that we should speak on it? Absolutely, because it's not right. Just because we understand what it is doesn't excuse it. It doesn't make it right.
Nah, because you're going to get people that take, even though if it is a farce or it's a marketing tool, they're going to take that shit at face value because they believe everything that their fighter that they believe in says.
The culture that it has, in the last 2 years, the culture that has been fostered in the United States made it right for them to be plucked. And that's why they did it, because they know good and well there are people who are going to watch just
going to tap into that sentiment.
Yes. And even though I do agree with one thing Floyd said, he has been denigrated for doing what he's been doing, and McGregor
did the same thing.
Took his whole playbook, and he has been celebrated for doing the same thing. And there is no difference between the two of them except the color of their skin.
Let me ask you this though, because I 100% agree with you. But do you think, aside from race, do you think if Floyd was knocking people out the way Conor was submitting people, that it would be a difference for him being so braggadocious? Because people complain about his style of fighting. Do you think that would make a difference?
What's that? If he wasn't as braggadocious, people wouldn't buy his pay-per-views because of his style of fighting. So I think people just want to see him lose.
I think the style. I think it's not the style of fighting. It's just the wins, the flat-out wins. He hasn't been beat, and he, from a genius marketing perspective, knew that people would pay to see him lose, and he's capitalized and exploited that, and so that's what makes it the thing. I don't think it's how he fights. I think it's
ever since he took his heel turn on WWE, and he realized, wait a second, they love this. He has not been Pretty Boy Floyd since. He's been Floyd Money Mayweather.
Go ahead, Les.
No, what I was going to say is, do you think it made a difference that he had that heel turn? Conor's been the same way since day one. Mayweather had that heel turn where it was all of a sudden I'm Money Mayweather. Does it make a difference if he started out that way?
No, I think I truly believe that he would just be a boxer who people think is good.
And the other thing is Conor McGregor hasn't started out, and I go back to the record, undefeated. He had two losses. He's most known.
Three, I think.
He has three now. He's most known for the most recent loss. But he had two losses earlier. So he came out when he got on the scene, or when his name started to rise up. He had losses there. We don't care about that. That's not going to excite me, because it's like, well, actually, you have two losses already.
That's not part of their culture, though, MMA, because they all fight, everyone.
That's also another good point. So you're not undefeated, and then also within that sport, what you're saying, it's if you lose, it doesn't mean anything, because it's expected in the combat sport.
And actually, what McGregor has done is genius, because he fights in a sport that is controlled by basically one person. So he has made himself so indisposable that he has more control than almost every other MMA fighter.
Right.
Okay. Because one thing I think is funny, you guys brought up the Great White Hope. There's actually a movie that was based on this blueprint, The Great White Hype, with Damon Wayans in it, Samuel L. Jackson. But it followed the same exact script. Overhyped fight to make money. It was the
Irish.
black versus white play card, and it was it's interesting to see them actually put that into life right now. Last thing regarding the fight, I'm just asking you guys, as Kenyon mentioned, McGregor reportedly took that L while sparring. So what round do we have this fight ending? Let's be honest. I'll go out there. I'll jump out on the limb. I'm going to say the 4th round. It'll end by the 4th. What do you guys think?
I'm going to say this, Kev. I just recently, over the weekend, watched highlights of Floyd versus Gotti, and I think this fight is going to go exactly that way because Gotti was a tough guy. He wasn't fast enough, wasn't good enough boxer. Floyd's definitely older now, but I think that body work is going to be a big deal because I don't know too many MMA fighters that do that much body work, and he's not going to be used to it. I got it in 6.
I actually have it in 3. I feel like the first round, Mayweather gonna fill him out. Second round, he gonna break him down. He might not come out for the 3rd round.
My problem is, I really think if Mayweather wanted to, he can come out and knock him out in the 1st round. If he wanted to.
Yep.
He wants to put on a show, which is making me weary about the round being early because I think he wants to put on, because he learns his lessons, and he learned his lesson from the boring Pacquiao fight. And I truly believe he realized he's not in danger at all, and he can do what he wants. He's going to clown McGregor, and then he's going to destroy him. So I think maybe six round would be good.
25 minutes in championship UFC fights, right? 5-minute rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, 3-minute rounds, 3 times 8 is 24. 8th round, he puts him down. He puts him down, and I think in the 8th round, fatigue. I agree with just the inside fighting period. It's gonna be body work, but it's gonna be slips and counters, uppercuts, all of that interior fighting. Because McGregor, I mean, he's an idiot if he thinks otherwise. His only chance is to try to get on top of him and maul him. And that inside fighting, it gets exposed. It's a breakdown. You're right, Omar. I think he definitely wants to put on a show. Gotti is a good call. I got the 8th round.
8th round, okay. Well, look, I think we've given this fight as much more attention than it deserves. So.
Well, let's move on. That's about as much as we gonna give it. All right, it's time for black versus blue. My bad. First up, we got Mr. Derek Jeter. I mean, first we gonna celebrate the fact that he's becoming the new owner of the Miami Marlins. Wait a second, no, he's not.
I was like, whoa, was that some breaking news? We need to change up our lane.
Hold on.
Wait for it.
Now he's back again, the new owner of the Miami Marlins, and then no, he's not. It's basically been a shit show of them trying to put together some investors to buy the team.
Which is weird because it's Derek Jeter.
But what's coming out is the fact that investors are staying away because Derek Jeter is basically demanding a lot for somebody who's only putting in $25 million of his own money
Out of 1.2 billion.
Yes. So is it newsworthy or not that Derek Jeter is getting in his own way because of his competitive juices?
It is absolutely 100% newsworthy. This guy went an entire 19-year, 20-year career without making any ripples, any murmurs or any drama within his life during the time he was a professional baseball player. Now's his time to do the fuckery.
Well, he was low-key doing the fuckery.
No, he was really doing the fuckery. It was Jeter packages being handed out the next morning.
He had go-home kits.
Yeah, but that was on the super low.
He had Uber before Uber had Uber.
My question,
keep going.
My question though is, why does he think that he can demand that, especially with that little bit of investment?
It's bananas
with no
to me.
experience either.
It's crazy to me because the people were saying they would give the Bush family who was trying to buy it at first. They said we'll let him have control of the baseball side, but why do you want control of the business side?
Exactly.
Like, why?
He wanted both sides.
Yeah.
And the thing with Bush is that's why. Well, first of all, him and Bush were on opposite sides, and then they came together. And I guess Bush was supposed to get secure the financing. He couldn't do it. Part of the problem is the owner of the Marlins is doing this very
Jeffrey Loria.
Yes, most teams, if they're trying to sell, they will get a bank to vet the buyers. He does not have a bank vetting the buyers, so they didn't know Jeter didn't have the financing.
Hey, I think Frank McCourt gonna come in and buy him.
And
He got the money now.
he needs to, because that's the reason why it's not happening, because of what happened with Frank McCourt. So the Major League Baseball wants to make sure they have enough money to buy the team and enough money to run the team.
Yeah, I definitely think it's newsworthy for a different reason, though, because, many baseball guys want creative control, similar to how, like, Bill Belichick runs the Patriots. Granted, Jeter is unproven on the management aspect of it, but I don't think he wants to be in a position like the Knicks or like Washington's football team, where you have businessmen who don't know anything about the sport making all the decisions and ultimately holding the franchise back from taking the next step.
Then call Bobby Bonilla, and you guys put your money together. He's still getting checks, and go run the Marlins. That's what you do.
Wow. I mean, he has
played
his own.
there.
He has his own day.
He should. Yes, he does.
He's making more than Seager and Bellinger combined.
Is he?
Yep.
Yeah, the pay is real.
That's the greatest thing ever happened.
Thanks to Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. So Mr. Kirk Cousins.
What's his name?
Kirk.
Okay.
Because Bruce didn't give two shits.
And Kirk said, it happens to me all the time. He bet on himself 100%. He decided not to sign that $53 million guaranteed money. Said, nah, I'm a quarterback of my prime. I'm gonna hit the free agency. So is this a hit or a flop?
I think. Oh, go ahead.
I say it's a hit. First off, he's gonna make $50+ million over 2 seasons.
Yeah, let's do the math.
Yeah. Then he's going to turn around and sign to San Francisco, Cleveland, or something like that, and get another $50-60 million guaranteed. 4 years, $110 million. Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention that if he did wind up signing, they were only offering him like $300,000 more than what he was already guaranteed. So
what's the point?
What's the point?
And it is a rare thing for a very good quarterback in his prime to hit the market. So if in his head, why not?
We'll see what very good means.
Right. I think at this point that's what Washington is betting on. So for that standpoint, I'm going to play devil's advocate and say it is a flop. Because as I believe it was Kevin that pointed out last week in the debate, no Pierre Garçon, no Deshaun Jackson. I'm betting that he doesn't do as well without those weapons. They're going to be starting at least 2 young receivers, Josh Doxson, and then their draft pick from this year along with Terrell Pryor. He doesn't perform as well. Washington doesn't put the transition tag on him. They just let him walk. And now he's not going to get that starting $28 million from the other team.
And then where do they go from there?
Yes, he will. He will.
San Francisco.
They
got $70 million in cap space.
He knows that. He knows
because they're not going to come in with $28 million. No team is going to offer, especially coming off of a bad year. If this is what I'm saying, he comes off a bad year, you would look like an idiot offering him $28 million. We should ask a 49ers fan. That's funny.
Hey, I'll give the Washington football team this. It's a hit that I agree in their approach that they are just like me. They cheap as shit. They cheap as shit. Offering a guy that basically what he was gonna make if they gave him the franchise and the transition tag. They're trifling, man.
That was please turn it down. We're offering this to you, but no, turn it down.
Just so we can put it in the news, in the media that we offer you.
They're laying, and that's what I'm saying. Right. They're laying the groundwork.
And call you out your name 6 times.
They're laying the groundwork with the fan base. Now the only bet that needs to come in is that he doesn't perform as well, and we'll see.
And they put it out there to him. They told him, we are going to let everybody know how this goes.
Yeah.
So he knew coming up that the team was laying the groundwork.
So he had no choice, so it's a hit either way.
Terrell Pryor, 1,200 yards.
Is Vernon Davis still there?
Jordan Reed.
Yeah, Vernon. He is there too as well.
He's still there.
He's still there. Yeah. But Jordan Reed's going to get hurt by week 9.
Yeah.
4.
Hey, but he got 8 touchdowns by then.
Right. He will put in some work before he gets hurt. All right, moving on to the last thing. Man,
I want you to say what you said in the chat, but
fuck Michael Vick.
Wow. There it is.
I'm gonna say it
Speak
again.
on it though.
Stupid ass. Shit, man, y'all done got me mad. Michael Vick.
you got yourself, man.
Yeah.
You're right.
All he needs is a Newport. He's good.
In my ear, in a stocking cap. Mike, you almost feel sad for the brother, but then it's like you a grown goddamn man. Like you did not have to look like a house nigga out there. Excuse me.
There it is.
Nah,
Hey, there it is. There you go.
speak on it.
444.
And what made it worse was it might not have been as bad if it wasn't him sitting next to what's his name? What's the dude's name?
Jason Whitlock.
Yes.
Oh.
He was on the show.
And he was in there.
So
happy,
listen.
like, hey.
Cool Master B.
So listen, right? Because I fundamentally agree. I agree. But I will say this is one time where it's like, okay, so we got to now consider the source here. Because he was on Fox Sports. It is speak for yourself. And then he comes out today, Vic comes out today and is like, listen, you know, what McGregor's doing is, I mean, I'm not McGregor, but
Freudian.
that just happened. That's science. Oh my God, that's science.
That's
Anyway,
voodoo.
what Kaepernick is doing, I support. You know, he should. You know, whatever. Like it was the exact
came out
opposite of what.
today?
Yeah, today.
Because they got to him already.
No, but I feel
What you
like
mean?
I'm saying I feel
You could
like
have said that yesterday.
no, I feel what I'm saying is I think in the pre-production meeting they got Vic to sign a check, or to not sign a check, but to cash a check, to get a check, to say, take this position. Because of the show, because of the network, I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah,
It's inexcusable.
No. I even if that happens, it's still fuck you for that.
I mean, that's fine. I agree.
It's definitely
you
not
could
the
take
same.
you could sign the
I'm just-
check
I just-
and then get on there and say what you want.
But
I'm
it's,
just saying I smell a dead cat on the line.
It's
is
not
all
the
I'm
same
saying.
situation because Kaepernick did not commit a crime. He did not go to
Right.
jail. And this is not 2004 or 5, whenever the hell that was. And if I heard a comment today on Dan Patrick's show where he's saying that he's mentioning that the owners are 60 to 70-year-old white men, and they feel that haircut means something to them.
So this was a real conversation. This really went somewhere. Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It
First
means
of all,
something different to them. And why-
the problem I have with what
First
he
of all,
said
that's
was
racist.
The problem I have with what he said was he said it's because of his play, the reason why he's not on the team. He is good enough to be a backup on almost every team in the league.
But see,
I think
that part I didn't have a. When we've
No,
talked
no,
about
no,
this
no,
before,
no.
that part I didn't have a.
Gabbert?
I didn't. No, that part I didn't have a problem with because he has a very limited skill set.
But wait a second. There are a lot of backups with very limited skill sets. He is not a backup in this league because of they don't want the problem because of what he did.
Kev?
Not because of his play. He could have got a job. You telling me Cleveland don't need a quarterback? You telling me the Bears don't need a quarterback?
They would have to put. They would have to put in a package specifically tailored to that, completely different than the offense that they run. That's a legitimate point.
At this point, he's taking a job.
Kev, just
No,
jump in.
Listen.
Tennessee's
Ryan
backup?
Fitzpatrick has a job, so I don't care what anybody says about potential or ability packages. He doesn't have a job because of the problem that doesn't exist.
Yeah, but look at
So
what-
I absolutely hear me out. I absolutely have a problem with what Michael Vick said because he went through a situation like this where he had to reinvent himself or change his image, and he's asking or advising Colin Kaepernick to take a walk of atonement for something that he didn't do wrong.
Shame.
He didn't.
For real.
Shame that he didn't bring upon himself. I think Michael Vick was cooning in the utmost fashion, but I wouldn't put it past the third that you came up with, Kenyatta. I think they probably influenced him to take that decision, or I'm sorry, to take that
Position.
approach, but to take that position. But I think it's completely just disrespectful for him to wish that upon that man when he didn't do anything wrong.
Kevin, one question from a quarterback's perspective. I understand Fitzpatrick's limitations, but when you talk about calling plays in the huddle, playing in a diversified offense, the things that you need a quarterback to do, Colin Kaepernick he is not in the same. His success is predicated off of play calling, which is a system that's tailored to him and
Who's
his
the backup in Tennessee?
and his athletic ability.
Who's the backup
would
in
you
Tennessee?
Not, from a football perspective, would you not concede that?
Does anybody know the backup in Tennessee?
No, I agree, but to not give him a chance at all, a tryout, a workout.
The
nothing?
only reason
Come
why
on, man.
Pete Carroll brought him in was because it was good for his image. He knew good and well he wasn't signing that man. He knew good and well he wasn't. That wasn't happening.
Omar just trying to avoid this debate.
You fucking right.
Hey, we was trying to stretch it out.
Hey. No, it's. I mean, it is the thing, and we will move to issue with it or not. It's up there now. Thank you, Rena. It is the Kaepernick thing is always very interesting to me because there is a nuanced football argument, but within the context of the larger issue, it's interesting. Anyway, issue with it or not? I know. British Open. Here we go.
What is it?
British Open. That's what I say. It's really the Open Championships. But a big major tournament in golf starting this Thursday. Our combatants are Les and Omar. I do not have a coin, so we're going to pick a number. And the debate topic is this. It's at Royal Birkdale. It's been there 9 times. 8 of the 9 winners have either been from America or Australia, or for the purposes of this conversation, they've been foreigners. And then there's the Europeans. There's only been one European win. That was 2008, Paddy Harrington. So the debate topic is, who's going to prevail this year? Will it be the foreigner or will it be a European? We'll go with
who?
A
European. European.
They got me.
We ain't got time for this shit.
A European. Omar, since you were out last week, pick a number between 1 and 7.
Nah, I'm gonna let Les choose the one he wants.
Wow.
It's to see who's going to. Oh, well, the topic. Okay.
The Europeans will not win.
So it'll be a foreign-born player.
Foreign-born player.
Okay. So since Omar gave up his choice, do you want to go first or second?
I'll go first.
You're going to go first.
Wait.
Let's go this way.
I want to go first.
No. You gave up your choice.
You deferred.
You deferred.
At the least be a gentleman.
No. Let's go.
God damn it.
3, 2, 1.
Now the backfire.
Ooh. The Royal Birkdale Golf Club has hosted the Open Championship 9 times since 1954, with only one European winning the title. Paddy Harrington won the last Open Championship held at this course in 2008. The other 8 winners were from the U.S. and Australia. The question is, will the U.S. and Australia continue its dominance on this course? And the answer is yes, proving that Harrington was just an anomaly and not a sign of things to come. The top 3 players, Dustin Johnson, Hideki Matsuyama, and Jordan Spieth, are the top 3 players in the world. None of them are European. And they come in as the favorites in the Open Championship. The last 7 majors have all been won by first-time winners. There are only 2 Europeans in the top 12 that have never won a major. And one of them has only made the cut once at a major. The major reason that a European has not won at this course is because of the course layout. Really, it's the most compelling reason. The European courses are wider in nation. They're wider than the American courses, than most of the other courses out of Europe. So what happens is Europeans are used to playing on these wide courses with these huge gusts of winds. Well, guess what? At the Royal Birkdale, the courses are more like American courses and they're narrower. So when you have these wide gust of winds, blowing the ball 20 yards left or right, you end up out of bounds, losing strokes, and Europeans aren't used to that, especially in the Open Championship. So this becomes a big advantage for the Americans, and that's really the number one reason why this year a European won't win the Open Championship.
First off, it's a ridiculous argument. They've played 9 times since 1954 at the Royal Birkdale. That's 9 times in 63 freaking years. It isn't exactly what you call enough evidence for a scientific assessment about certain things. It's more of coincidence. The real thing about it is who's playing good. And if you look back at the people who have won at all the time, every time, it was a great champion. It didn't matter where they were from. It didn't matter if they were American. It was somebody who was playing great at the time. This year's champion won't have anything to do with country, but it'll be more about how the course is played and the form of the golfer. The winner could just as easily be Japanese. What's his name? Hideki Matsuyama. He's playing better than anybody right now. But there's also the Spaniard, John Rahm, who's playing great. And don't forget about the Englishman, Tommy Fleetwood, that's who I'm going to pick to win. Tommy Fleetwood is playing great right now. His mistake shots are good shots. And he grew up around the corner playing on that, sneaking in as a kid to play on that course. So he knows that course. There's not a golfer out there who's played more on that course than Tommy Fleetwood. And to reiterate, I think it's coincidence that 8 of 9 winners were American and Australian. I just think it was great players at the time. So all it takes is somebody playing great, regardless if they're European or Australian or American. The more they play there, the more times a European will win.
Kevin, you are the judge.
Wow. Are there any African golfers in this event? No?
South Africa.
Okay. Like to say,
African.
either one of them. No, those were surprisingly great points. Less with the course layout. That was some pretty good research there. Jeez. Can our last debate of the year end in a tie? Is that possible? Do I have to pick one?
This would be the one to end in a tie.
I love both of you equally. So I would say, you know what? That one was a tie.
Equivocal.
Ring the bell, Les. We got anything in diplomatic immunity?
We do, and I feel like it's from a Lonzo Ball hater. So I think that runs in the Johnson family.
Oh,
and we have a
God.
question. How did Lonzo Ball win the MVP, missing the championship game, and De'Aaron Fox did not make the first or second team All-Summer League? So
I'm going to leave that to the Johnson boys to answer that one.
Leave
Devin?
it to me. I ain't seen none of that shit.
Y'all know.
I wasn't racing home to work to see that. 10
know.
fouls a night. And
I
Slug
think
is actually a Laker fan, so maybe he wants to see
As we've learned from today's show, a lot of things are based off hype. Lonzo did have a great summer league in the games that he played, except for that first one. So I guess he was a standout, and they gave it to him. But as Kenyon always says, it's summer league. Who really cares?
No one gives 2 fucks. And on that, not giving 2 fucks, we're going to get up out of here.
Somebody need to give 2 fucks to Michael Vick.
All right, so that's our show for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Omar.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us on Confirmation Bias. Check us out Thursday, which will be our last show of this season for Confirmation Bias, so check us out. Also, check us out on social media at our handle at The League AM, our website, theleagueam.com, our YouTube channel under League Ambassadors. Sharing is caring. You better like that shit, too. And we out of here.
I hope a dog bite his bitch ass.